Welcome to Art Talks. I'm Elaine M. Bergstrom, an artist's perspective. Here today to share a little bit about using 6 tubes of watercolors, warm and cool colors. And in front of me, I have some cold press paper for texture. Just grabbed it. It's a Fabriano paper. And then to show you a little bit more, let me just move this over. I have an apple and 2 plates with my warm colors, which I've labeled warm and cool colors. And so the biases are a little bit different. And this is what I go over with in my watercolors with 6 tubes class, which is actually starting next week. If you're interested, you can scroll for the information on my Facebook page or connect with me. I can give you information. It will be an 8-week class from October 20th through December, or I want to say 15th, with 1 week off. So I hope you'll be able to join me if you're interested in this sort of thing. Just want to see, I had flipped my screen earlier, and I think that might be a little bit better view for everybody. Just move myself a little bit out of the way. I hope that's better for you to see. Okay. I can see it still moving a little bit. All right, so I have an apple in front of me. And of course, I'm looking for a pencil. If you aren't trained with drawing, you can start with just kind of a circle, or you can always find, usually don't work on cold press. I'm a hot press painter mostly, but it's good to try all different products once you get familiar. Don't switch too often at the beginning, because you won't know really what's good and bad, most likely. Okay. So usually in classes, I start with basic forms to kind of start learning how to glaze, which is laying watercolors on top of each other instead of mixing and painting. Okay, so I just have a basic color shape, and I'm going to assume my light is coming from, it's a little bit too top left, but kind of off this way. So this area in here is probably going to be highlighted for me. So that means the brightest part of the painting, and often we use the white of the paper to hold that. But today we're going to go right in and use a mix. So I just propped my apple up so I can see it. It's better if it can be eye level when you're painting. So I could this might bring it up just a little bit. I'm putting something, and then I could see it. So with this apple, don't get confused with the light of the apple, which is actually the color of the apple, with the light that would be reflecting on it. And I can kind of see it right here, so I'm just gonna change that light a little bit. So the apple is pretty warm in color. I'm gonna start by taking a paper towel and wetting the apple surface area. And you want it to soak in a little bit. I'm not going to put water into, well, actually I will right now. And I'm going to start with my cooler yellow. Eventually it will recede a little bit into the apple. See if we can pull this screen down just a little bit. I think you might be able to see it a little better. Great. Okay, so if there's a lot of water on your paper, sometimes it's good just to let it sit because that really helps us lift up. So I'm putting my cool yellow down and just kind of giving it a first glaze, we call it, of color. And I see that the apple actually has more golden yellow in it. So I'm going to go into my warm yellow, which is a little more golden. You can see the difference between the two. And I'm going to, this is really wet. Probably would have been better not to do so much of a wet on wet, but add this color to it. I just want to keep that area kind of light. My pencil marks probably should have been a little bit lighter. And what I'm trying to do right now is just build a little form into the apple area. And my far right of the apple is getting the least amount of light right now. Right, this area will be getting more of that light area. Okay. So it'd be nice to let it dry a little bit. And if it's not too glossy looking, where we say the sheen is kind of gone, it's a good place to, let it dry. And then we always re-wet the surface when we begin. So I'm seeing that there's warm red in it. Which would be right here. It has a little bit more orange to it. And if I mixed it, it would give me a warmer kind of yellow-orange, a little bit warm. But I'm going to go in, I think, straight with my CAD, just so we're not painting here all day. And so I know that in this area, I'm going to actually switch brushes to a little bit smaller brush. This area is not going to be receiving as much light. And as I move towards this area that has light, I keep my edge cleaner. This is when it's nice to have that point on your brush. And already I'm starting to get a little bit of dimension by just adding that contrast. It's warming up the apple a little bit. And for this case, it's kind of contouring around. And what I like is there's some nice yellow in between. So I can kind of lift up a little bit. And of course, there's a little bit of this warm red here. Now, apples are different. Some Red Delicious have much more cooler red in it. So you want to try and observe what you see before you start painting it. So for this particular apple that I had laying around from the farmer's market, just kind of drop that in. It seems to be not getting any light along that ridge. Let's just kind of keep that open and light. If I wanted to lift, this would be a good time to lift. Kind of see if I can stay in my pencil line. There. So as I look at it, the apple is moving away. The light is bouncing and it's moving away, and the right side of the apple is probably in what we call lack of light or shadow. And so to do that, using a cool red, which has a little bit more blue, will make it recede because cool colors recede a little bit. So I'm going to just start dropping that in. And I do like these brushes. I love the points on them. And I kind of have to pay attention to the curves, right? The curves of the apple. So this is pretty solid here, but see if I can lift up a little bit of light in there. And it's not getting too much light on the bottom. And maybe in the back here, to make that go back a little bit. Really like a little bit of that yellow coming through. Let's make it a little bit stronger. And my brush is getting a little dry. Paint's not floating as well. But you can start seeing that we're creating some form to it. If you have a mop brush or a big brush, this is a good time to soften the edges. And if you have any like hard edges, before it dries is the time to change that. So I just want to add some water to my paper towel. And sometimes you can make a mess when it's wet because that paint will run off the side. So I won't play with it too much. But you can see it already has a little bit of a glow. And now I want to go in and see, that's what happens is it starts bleeding into the water. So sometimes it's best just to wait till it dries and lift that off if you can later, if you want a clean edge. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my warm red. I just want a little bit more contrast. I want it to come forward and drop that in. And then I'm going to mix. I see some like darkness, so I'm actually going to go in and make a purple with my cooler colors. I'll start with more of a red violet. That's bothering me. And use a little bit smaller brush because there's so much water there right now. and drop that in. So now I'm putting a cool mixture on, which will help give some more dimension to the painting. This is a little strong, so it's nice if it's still wet. You can definitely play with that. See if I can clean up that edge. So I just dropped my dish. So I'll leave that on top there. Let's add a little bit more cool red. And if your bowl has more orange in it, you can, add that to it as well. And watch for the curves of the apple as well. Okay, so now there's like a little shadow behind this because it's not getting any light. So, oops. Try and keep that light. And then just add a little bit of water. Ever since I messed with that edge. So we'll just wait for it to dry. And I'm going to add a little bit of my cooler yellow in there just to give it some color. And I know that, to get some browns, I can start with the red and add blue to it. So let's get some brown there. Sometimes if you mix the wrong blue, you'll get more of a green. Just gonna apply that in there. It's really wet right now, so it's probably best to leave it alone. So you can see I'm starting to get some contrast there. It's looking dimensional. And I'm gonna add some darker phthalo in there to bring this out a little bit more. So hopefully this will help you understand the layering and the application of it. Now, because this image has warm colors, I've started, but sometimes you'll start with a blue tone. Maybe if you have the trees have more of a darker value. So it depends what you're painting with and using. So I'm just going to grab a little Mr. Clean. That's a great tool for lifting some paint. You have to be really careful because it can definitely lift off the paper. So be gentle. And there's other tools that we use to, clean up. So definitely when that dries a little bit more, I'll go back in. So I'm just taking the phthalo and mixing it into my brown. It'll give me more of a paint gray. And can definitely, wasn't enough. Get the core in there that way. A little bit more kind of gives it the bruises that we see on top. I still want to fix this edge. So it's kind of a little purple, so I'll have to go back in there and dab a little bit more of my cool red in there. And it will become like a shadow underneath. Oops. Kind of lost that color there. So besides this little space, I think we've come up with a nice little dimensional apple, and I will try and post it as a photo so you can see it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you want to learn more, again, I have a class starting for 8 weeks that you can sign up for. You register through PayPal, and then you get the Zoom link from me. And I hope you'll continue watching our talks on Friday. If you have any questions, please let me know. And maybe I can address it on these videos every Friday. They'll also be posted on YouTube, and you can see some things on Instagram. Please like and follow me. Have a great day. Thank you.